Alright guys, so like I said in the last episode, the next thing to do is to pull the engine out of that car. However, I kind of want to move that car to here. So we've got to move this car and that car and switch that car with this car and yada 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 yada, rearrange the yard. So we're going to do that. And should be pretty uneventful. That one might be a little angry. But jump box on the green one. Let's see how angry this thing is when I start it. It hasn't ran in quite a while. I don't remember the last time this thing ran. Probably September. Let's see how angry this guy is. He has like no gas either. Oh! Fired right up. Awesome. All right. Oh, we'll back this one up. We'll get the black one in and start getting it tearing apart. All right, so I got the car switched around. Pretty uneventful. Okay, so we're gonna drop this the exact same way we did the wagon. In fact, I'm not even gonna film it because we literally just watched me do that a few weeks ago. So if you want to watch it again or you haven't seen that episode, click up in the corner. I'll put the link there. Other than that, the only difference on these cars is pretty much that the computer is right there instead of under the dash. And the intake manifold on the twin cam is a little bit different than the previous generations where it's the aluminum one. This is a plastic one. But other than that, it is identical. Oh, and the secondary air pump thing, but it's really nothing. Other than that, it's going to come out of the car the exact same way. So I'm not going to bother filming it. And the next you'll see me, it will be sitting right there. All right, so now the engine is out from under the car, and it's now time to tear it down and put all of the parts that we want to keep and clean in the bucket to take inside, and all the accessories that aren't going to get cleaned are going to go in the car, and everything else is just going to go into storage. So all we really need off of this thing is the cylinder head and the timing chain cover, those things, pulleys. But the power steering will stay there, the alternator will go in the car, the starter will go in the car, all that stuff. So let's get going. That's worrying. What the hell went through this motor? And how is it still running? Alright guys, so there's a bit of some unexpected here. There's metal in my oil pan. Why? I have no idea. Where it came from, I have no idea. How the engine was still running, I have no idea. Because it was running fine. But there are chunks of metal. It looks like gear. Something in there is messed up. Okay guys, we were successful. So now let's get all of this stuff inside and clean up the tools, because it's going to be a few days before we're back out here, maybe even a week or two before we're back out here by the time everything's all cleaned and rebuilt. So I got all the parts inside and I'm cleaning up all of the parts, and I looked at the cam gears and I think they're the tops of these, some of the tops of these are knocked clean off. See, there's one that's knocked off. And it looks like the chain was narrower than the gear, and they just kind of let it self-clearance. I have no reason to believe that anyone else was in this motor before me. Everything looked factory. So these are probably the metal chunks that were in the oil pan, are the tops of the cam gear teeth, which is a little disconcerting. So I guess at that rate, I got to order a timing set, because now I don't trust anything involved with the timing. So I don't trust that the chain is still good. These sprockets are clearly not good. The lower sprocket looks okay, but I don't trust it. The tensioner and the guides, they look okay, but again, I don't trust it. So I've ordered a new timing set. Also, I was really hoping to be able to rebuild the head the way I did the one in the wife's car, the SOHC. But it looks like I'm going to have to take this to a machine shop. And the reason why is I won't be able to use my valve spring compressor tool to get on the valve. It won't get on there. So I have no way of removing, well, I have a way of removing the valve springs, but I don't have a way of putting them back together. Like, I could smack them with a socket and pop them and they'll be out. And I could do that, but I got no way of putting it back together. So I figure it's just easier to let the machine shop do it all. So I'll pull the caps and the rockers and the lifters, and I'll keep those, and I'll bleed the lifters so everything's all ready to go back together. And then the machine shop will have to do my valve job and face it and do everything. So I was going to film all that, but since all I'm going to do is this and remove these and remove these and remove one of these, oh, that one won't come out, and pull out the lifters here, there's really not much to see. So I'm sure you guys can live with just an explanation of, I'm going to remove that, remove those, and remove those. That's all that I'm going to do. The rest has to be done by the machine shop, unfortunately, because I really didn't want to have to pay to do this, but I'm kind of stuck. I'm also in shock that there was metal in my oil pan. That was another unforeseen thing. As opposed to the things I did know about, where I've got 2 blown out ball joints and 2 screwed inner CV axles. That's my spare new one. I'm just waiting on the other one to show up, and 2 new control arms to fix that. But I knew that was bad. This was a surprise, and this was an unknown. I've never pulled apart a 3rd gen DOHC head, and they are quite different. In fact, let's go through the differences now. Alright, this is a 2nd gen DOHC head, but it is basically the same as a 1st gen. The only difference is the EGR plate here is different on the 1st gens for a vacuum EGR. This is for an electronic EGR. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. Bucket lifters and cams. And then you've got this thing. They are completely different. There is nothing similar about these things. This is a lot more of a style as to what you'd see in the similar years of Cavaliers and stuff, I think. With the roller rockers and the lifters and all of that. Instead of just bucket style like these guys here. But that's... Also, this head These ones are quite a bit narrower. Like in here, from there to there, is way narrower than there to there. So that's your basic differences on the 3rd gen head. Everything is different than those ones. I got the lifters and the rockers all out of the head there, and I'm cleaning them all up. So I ran those through my ultrasonic sink with some Varsol and some crud cutter, and they look brand new. So that's awesome. They're ready to go. Just need a brake clean. And there's a few cleaned lifters. There we are. Nice and clean. And this is kind of how they start. Kind of gross. And there's a few taken apart. So I figured I'd show you how I take them apart and how I clean them out and get them back to looking brand new and all good to go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to gently squeeze this till that plunger moves a bit. There we go. And a little bit of oil should come out of it. Don't squeeze too hard and you don't want to bottom it out. But just move enough that you take the pressure off of the cap that's holding it on. I'm just using a flathead screwdriver. And you just give the top little ring here a nice little tap and it should come off. There it goes. And now it's come off. Now, set your cap ring aside. And you should just be able to pull the unit apart. It may take a bit of persuasion. A little bit of back and forth to free it up. If you need to, you can grab a pair of pliers and gently grab it. Oh, careful though. And there it goes. So, now you got that plunger. You can set this guy aside. And then inside here, I'm going to turn this over on some paper towel, is a spring. And that's literally all that's in there. So that's the 4 pieces that make up the lifter. So now that we got it apart, let's clean it. Alright, now I've got all the lifter parts in a jar. I'm going to pour in some cleaner. And all I'm using is crud cutter. You can buy it at Home Depot. In fact, that's where I buy it. And then alright, now that it's done in the ultrasonic sink, we will drain it back. So now I'll just give them a blow dry with the air compressor and reassemble them. Alright, so now I'm just going to reassemble it. I like to assemble them upside down. So, put the spring back where the spring goes. Put this on top, down like that. And the ring goes on. I take a socket. There you go. One rebuilt lifter. Alright guys, I got all the stuff cleaned for the head and everything that I kept. Everything else went to the machine shop, and it turns out that they're actually very busy. So I've already been waiting about 3 weeks as of right now as to it being done, and they still haven't called me, and they said it could take up to 4 weeks-ish. So I really wanted to do this all in one video and have this be the video where we put the engine back, you build it back and put it back in the car and start the car and everything, but it looks like I'm going to do this in 2 parts. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one when I get my stuff back from my very busy machine shop. So, we'll see you later.